This is Zaheer Mustafa from Almore in the US. It was some technical glitch at my end. Now Dr. Khalid Zaheer is online. I will let him take over from here.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I am starting the first of the three 20 minutes sessions that we're going to do. Hopefully, despite the fact that we have lost 15 minutes, I hope that you will all be very kindly sparing extra 15 minutes for accommodating what we have lost on time. The first of the three slots is reserved for reading a passage of the Quran. I have chosen verses 40 onwards of Surah Al-Baqarah, the second chapter of the Quran, for reading its verses and translating them. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. I seek God's refuge from the evil whispering of the Satan. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. And I begin in the name of the God whose mercy is profound, whose kindness is forever. Ya Bani Israel, O children of Israel, Uzkuru ni'mati, recall my blessing, allati an'amtu alaykum, which I had bestowed upon you, wa'ufu bi'ahdi, and fulfill my promise, ufi bi'ahdikum, I shall fulfill your promise, wayyaya farhabun, and do not fear anyone except me. After the first 39 verses of the Quran, of Surah Al-Baqarah, the second chapter, by far the longest chapter, Surah of the Quran is now turning towards the first of the two major themes of the Surah, which is extending invitation to the children of Israel, virtually the Jews. Those people who were the progeny of Ibrahim alayhi salam, Abraham, and who were appointed by the Almighty as his representatives to deliver his message to the rest of the mankind as a nation, as a family. The Almighty chose after Abraham his family to be his representatives, to deliver his message to the rest of the mankind, as against the individuals who were chosen before him, who were messengers in their individual capacity, who delivered God's message to the nations that they were sent to. But from Ibrahim onwards, alayhi salam, the Almighty chose his entire progeny family with a clear understanding that because they have to discharge the Almighty's obligation of delivering the message, they are chosen. They are the chosen people. In the sense that if they will take the task seriously, they will get the Almighty's help and support in the form of extraordinary abilities that they will get. The circumstances and the opportunities that will come their way will be not what ordinary people get in discharging their obligations or pursuing their projects. However, there was a flip side to it as well. If they would not discharge their obligations properly, then they will be on the receiving side of the Almighty's decisions. And those very people on whom they were supposed to deliver the message are going to be the ones on whose mercy they are going to be, they will be subjugated and insulted by them. So this is exactly what the Almighty is reminding the children of Israel of what God had promised them, and is telling them that, look here, it's about time that you should fulfill your obligations in the true spirit So he says, O children of Israel, recall my blessing that I had bestowed upon you, and fulfill your promise, fulfill my promise, that is the commitment that you made to me. Ufi bi'ahdikum, I shall fulfill your promise. That is, in turn I will do what I have committed to do, if in case you do your part of the deal. Wayyaya farhabun, and you fear me alone. That is, while discharging this obligation, you will have obstacles, you will have impediments. People would tell you not to do what God expects from you for one petty worldly reason or another. Don't pay heed to what people are saying. Don't be inclined towards the worldly temptations that are stopping you from discharging this obligation. Don't listen to people who are criticizing you. Just fear me alone, and it's only then that you will be able to do what you are expected to do. وَآمِنُوا بِمَا أَنزَلْتُ مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا مَعَكُمْ, and believe in what I have revealed. مُصَدِّقًا لِمَا مَعَكُمْ, which is in the form of a confirmation of what you already have with you. That is, now as you stand in the history of the message and its delivery to mankind, now the time has come when I have appointed from within the children of Ishmael, a messenger, well within the announced policy that I made, that I am going to continue to deliver my message to people from the children of Abraham. So it was like 2000 years of monopoly that you were able to receive, to be able to get from the Almighty, when only children of Israel had the privilege of receiving God's message and His prophets. Now, going by the same policy, there is no change whatsoever. I have revealed my message to a prophet here in the Arabian Peninsula, and it was a part of the deal I made with you. And you believe in him, believe in the message, and this message is confirming what you already have. That is, what you already have in your books are prophecies confirming that there would come another prophet who will be from Mecca and who will be from the children of Ishmael, and you already know him, so believe in him. وَلَا تَكُونُوا أَوَّلَ كَافِرٍ بِهِ, and don't be the very first to reject him. That is, you were the ones who were entrusted with the task of introducing him to others, confirming the correctness of his claim to be God's messenger because of what you have in your books as prophecies confirming his arrival. That would be what would bring you God's mercy, His pleasure, because in that case you will be discharging what exactly is desired by the Almighty from you. But if on the contrary you will reject him, it would be a shame. Don't be the very first to reject him. That is, you were the ones who were expected to let others come to believe him. And on the other hand, what you're doing, lo and behold, is that you are rejecting him. Don't do that. وَلَا تَشْتَرُوا بِآيَاتِي ثَمَنًا قَلِيلًا, and do not compromise my verses for petty value, petty considerations. That is, if you would do what I am asking you to do, it's going to bring you success of both worlds. It would bring you the pleasure of the Almighty. But if you're going to not accept what is being presented to you, you will do simply because of some very ordinary, petty considerations of this world. That is, you will do it because you would not want your worldly status of religious scholars whom people seek to get guidance and to get religious edicts. You think that your position is going to be compromised, and that is why you're not inclined to accept the message. Don't do that. Don't compromise and sell the Almighty's verses for petty considerations, petty value. وَإِيَّايَ فَاتَّقُونَ, and fear me alone. That is, it is my fear, your realization that you're going to be accountable to me one day, that is going to save you from committing this blunder of ignoring my message for petty worldly considerations. وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ, and do not, I have to just run away for bringing in my, what's wrong? My battery is not charging. It's fine. Okay, I'm sorry, we resume from where I left. Verse 40. وَلَا تَلْبِسُوا الْحَقَّ بِالْبَاطِلِ, and do not mix truth with untruth. وَتَكْتُمُوا الْحَقَّ, and do not hide, conceal the truth. وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, even though you know it. That is, don't do it knowingly. The Almighty is telling these people, the children of Israel, the Jews, that look here, don't deceive people by mixing what is truth with what is untruth. You see, that's one of the biggest problems which causes many people to be deceived. The reason is that when people see that that there are some scholars who are saying many things which are good, reasonable, make a lot of sense, they start believing them. They start feeling confident that what they're saying has to be right. But then they mix truth with untruth. Some of the things that they start mentioning they are untrue. The Almighty is asking the children of Israel to do exactly that. Well, not to do exactly that. That is, do not mix the truth with untruth. That is, obviously, they must have been telling their people about what Torah is saying, which obviously was God's book, and therefore what Torah was mentioning was true. But then obviously they were not saying the whole truth, which obviously makes things so very difficult for the ordinary person to understand what the truth is. They get confused because ordinary people are not quite as discerning to be able to distinguish between the right opinions from the wrong opinions. Once they are impressed by a religious person because of the good things that he's saying, well, they feel that it must be that everything that person is saying has to be correct. So the Almighty is asking the Jews scholars not to mix the truth with the untruth. وَتَكْتُمُوا الْحَقَّ, and do not hide the truth. وَأَنْتُمْ تَعْلَمُونَ, knowingly. That is, this is the untruth that they were conveying. They were not clarifying that the new prophet who has arrived and who is inviting people to believe in him, he's from God, and his arrival has been clearly prophesied in Torah. وَأَقِيمُوا الصَّلَاةَ وَآتُوا الزَّكَاةَ وَارْكَعُوا مَعَ الرَّاكِعِينَ, and establish prayers. That is, pray regularly and give zakat and incline with those who are inclining in prayers. That is, the Almighty is now giving remedy, the cure, which if they go for, would enable them to follow the Almighty's path properly. They were not doing what the Almighty was expecting from them because they were not fearing God. They were not God conscious. They did not find occasions when they were reminded of the fact that they're going to be accountable to the Almighty. So He's asking them to pray regularly and to give zakat. Now, by giving zakat, a person who does it regularly and properly is able to cleanse the unnecessary, exaggerated love of wealth and worldly matters from his soul. So that's what their problem was: exaggerated love for the worldly life and their arrogance. So the Almighty is asking the children of Israel, as a remedy, as a cure for the ailment, the spiritual, moral ailment that they were suffering from, to establish prayers regularly and to pay zakat, warka'u ma'ar raki'in, and to incline along with those who are inclining. That is, say your prayers with congregational prayers, so that in the company of good people you are able to improve. أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ وَتَنْسَوْنَ أَنفُسَكُمْ. Do you invite people to do what is good and you forget your own selves? That is, you deliver speeches, sermons, wherein you tell people to be God conscious and to follow God's commands no matter what. But when it comes to your own turn, you forget about it. وَأَنْتُمْ تَتْلُونَ الْكِتَابِ. Even though you recite the book. That is, what a shame that you are reading the book, you are inviting people to goodness, but the only person that you leave out for not informing is your own self. You don't get influenced. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ. Don't you use your senses? Are you not thinking properly? وَاسْتَعِينُوا بِالصَّبْرِ وَالصَّلَاةِ. Seek help from patience and prayers. That is, seek help from patience and steadfastness, which you will get if you are persistent in your prayers. You're persevering in your prayers. Your prayer is going to give you steadfastness, reason for you to be firm in the right path. وَإِنَّهَا لَكَبِيرَةٌ إِلَّا عَلَى الْخَاشِعِينَ. And indeed this task is very tough, uphill, except for those who are khashi'in, who fear, who are humble. الَّذِينَ يَظُنُّونَ أَنَّهُمْ مُلَاقُو رَبِّهِمْ. Those who are conscious of the fact that they are going to meet their Lord, وَأَنَّهُمْ إِلَيْهِ رَاجِعُونَ, and that they are going to return to Him. So these were the verses which are inviting more particularly the scholars of Jews to have faith in the Quran and the Prophet, may God mercy be on him, and it is telling them to get rid of the weaknesses that they are suffering from, and the Almighty is also mentioning the ways they can overcome the problems that are becoming a reason and obstacle for them to do what the Almighty is commanding them to do. After this first session, now I am expected to go for the second session, which discusses one of the misunderstandings of Muslims. So there are quite a few misunderstandings that we Muslims have in our reading of Islam, the way it's conveyed to us. I am going to talk about one important misunderstanding. Remember, I mentioned in the last session a misunderstanding wherein Muslims have this common belief that on the Day of Judgment there are going to be scales of good and bad deeds, and if our good deeds are going to outweigh our bad deeds, we'll be successful. So what happens is that as a consequence of doing good deeds, and as a consequence of exaggerated mention of the fact that good deeds, are going to be